Namaste, namaste, namaste. Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. Hope you are doing great. My topic of the day, oh, Jeff is here. Let me get Jeff. Oh-dee-doo. Gotta send me, no. Hi, everyone. Let me get Jeff here. Oh, how are you guys doing?
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Jeff, I am
I'm doing
great.
good. I'm
And
doing
how are
well. Thank you.
you?
I'm gonna take these off.
Fantastic, fantastic. So I'm making my lives much shorter. They're about 20 minutes length. So we're just going to dive into it. The topic of the day is how to shed our old self. Would you like to start,
Why
Jeff,
don't you go
or do
ahead?
you want me to start? Okay, so personally, hi everyone. I'm also live on YouTube. Hello to everyone on YouTube platform. Basically, what I'm noticing this last few years, and I've been doing my coaching, is that when people want to change their reality, they still want to do it from the old personality. And this is what I have been talking about the last couple of months since I have found my niche, clarity and empowering coach. This is what I'm constantly bringing to everyone's attention. Your reality will not change unless the personality change, because the old personality already have a set way of thinking. It has the way you're thinking, you're feeling, and the other part is your physical body. So in Buddhism or in meditation, we know that we put a lot of emphasis on training and taming the body, because the body after a while becomes, through your daily habits, it becomes another mind by itself. So eventually what goes on is the body that is supposed to be the servant of the mind, it kind of flips, and the physical body becomes the master and the mind becomes the servant. So, through our daily habits, this personality, the old personality, believes this is who I am. And very firmly we holding on to our beliefs, because God forbid, if I up to now I just felt like I'm a loser, and God forbid if I come to myself and say that's the old personality and I need to change the old personality to a new one, nobody will do that, because the ego gets terrified when you want to go against what is used to and what it knows and all the beliefs and all that stuff. So basically, right off the bat, I'm saying if you really want to change anything or to change your reality, not just a little bit, not just a tiny touch, if you really want to change your reality, then you have to totally kill and dig deep down in the earth the old personality, and you have to be crystal clear about who the new personality is. And you have to live that new personality. And this takes, again, coming back to my teaching, this again takes a lot of awareness, that I constantly have to be aware, oh, that's the old personality, this is not who I am. So back to you,
Certainly.
Jeff.
And there's a phrase I'm sure you've heard in kind of our community, which is, or in our industry, which is that a lot of people live life with they do something in order to have something so that they can be somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And that's often the
Right.
kind of the cycle that we live life, that people go through life. I need to do things so that I can have things, and once I have those things, I can be somebody. And we really all have to shift that be, and I hear that in what you're saying. You know, we have to shift that be to the front, so it becomes a be, do, have progression instead of a do, have, be progression. And so it's like, well, if you wanted to be a corporate executive, you know, you need to be a corporate executive. You better be getting up, getting dressed in a suit every day, and hanging out where other corporate executives hang out, and conducting your day in a way that a corporate executive conducts their day. And if you were to become that person, then we often see things unfold in our lives that we wouldn't normally see unfold. And I would offer a couple other things. I would say, we also hear all the time, we need a really strong why. So let's remember that we need a really strong why. So in the corporate executive example, why do you want to be a corporate executive? You know, if you love getting up and lounging around in lounge clothes and just relaxing all day and doing a bunch of extracurricular activities, then that's who you're being. And you're saying, well, what I really want is to own a business. I want to go work in a big corporation. I want to have a big corporation, and I want to be an executive at the top. Well, why? And if you can't tell me why, you're not going to shed that old self. You're just going to lounge around your place in your lounge clothes and go do all the fun leisure time stuff. So, you really need to have that why. And I really do want to, again, reemphasize what you said about the body controlling the mind, because, it might come as a surprise. I know it was a surprise to me when I learned it, but it might come as a surprise to a lot of people that memories are stored in the body, and our body really, every day when we wake up, it wants to remember itself, and it seeks to remember itself. So when we want to change, even if it's a positive change, our body doesn't always like that. I want to give a really quick example because I think this is insane. So a long time ago, I had LASIK surgery for my eyes. I was like super blind, and I went and had LASIK surgery. And I remember feeling kind of sick after the surgery. And it didn't make any sense because it's like there's no germs. I didn't have a bug. It's like they just did the laser on my eye. And I thought, how do I feel sick? And the doctor was like, because your body thinks something's wrong. Even though we did something that you desired, even though we did something that was massively corrective, we took your blind vision and gave you clear vision, your body senses it as something's wrong. It's not how it used to be. And so it thinks it needs to fight. That's crazy. But that's where it's at.
Yeah. That is right. So when it comes to like changing our reality or shed our old selves, do you have any tools? Where do you start?
I think that the biggest tool in my toolbox is to really, in excruciating detail, analyze your behavior and analyze your life. Become really aware, and I would liken that to, when you look at a lot of diet plans, people want to lose weight, get in shape, they get to a fitness person or a dietitian. But one of the first things they're going to be told is, you need to write down everything you consume for the next week, for the next 2 weeks. I don't care if it's a sip of water. We need to know exactly what you consume, because if we don't know what you consume, where do we go? How can we work? And often, we will sit here and do some self-reflection on our life, and we'll imagine that we want a better life. And, kind of right to what you do, the whole clarity thing, we don't have clarity because we have this idea of what better is, but we're not looking at the what is so. We're not saying, well, I weigh this exact number and I want to weigh this exact number. That's clarity. This is exactly where I am. This is exactly where I want to be. I'm this size. I want to be this size. You know, so it's like clothing size. I wear this clothing size. I want to wear that clothing size. I make this amount of income. I want to make that amount of income. So that's one thing we have to do is we have to, I hate the term brutal honesty. I feel like it's a bit overused, but we have to really be honest with ourselves and authentic and really observe and write down where we're at, our behaviors, who we're being. That's the whole point. Who we're being, how we relate to other people. Do we break plans with people? Do we keep plans with people? Do we flake on appointments? Do we get our bills paid on time? Are we, you know, taking care of duties and things like that? Like, are we living our life in a really tight ship kind of way? Or are we just kind of playing it fast and loose and going with the flow and really figuring out where we're at and then figuring out exactly where we want to go? And then whether, well, I'll say with whether we do it on our own, or we get some sort of self-help tool, or we engage with a coach, we can bring that data, especially to a coach who's not us. And we could say, look, I weigh this, I want to weigh that. And then the coach can say, okay, cool, I can work with that. I make this amount of money, I want to make that amount of money. Okay, I can work with that. But if we can't get those two, you know, it's like there's a gap in between. And if we can't give a coach, or even ourselves as a self-coach, if we can't give ourselves those two edges, those two kind of cliffs, how are we going to build a bridge? We don't know what we're building a bridge across.
Absolutely, yes. Guys, I have some technical issues here, so I just closed the YouTube. Please come and join me on Instagram, and then we're going to upload this live on Instagram. I don't know, there's some technical issue. It's extremely windy here, and yeah, they told me, can you turn off the Wi-Fi? And I did it, and something went off. And also, Marl, thank you so much. Marl keeps buying badges for me. Thank you, Marl, for being such a big supporter of my channel and everything else on top of it, and the help and love and all that. Okay, so coming back to how do we shed the old self? I think step number one is for me to really become clear and observe the personality on whom I think I am. The problem is, number one, it takes so many years for people to realize that this personality who I think I am and so firmly believe every aspect of it, after I figure out who it is, now this is me. And people get stuck there for so many years. So how easy is it for you, like for instance, you think, if you think, I need a woman to support me, and that's my road to success, and this is an old belief that I can do it on my own, and if I want to succeed, if any man wants to succeed, has to have a supporting woman right by her side. Or on the contrary, if a woman thinks, I can do it on my own, I need a strong man to be supportive and have my back for me to be successful. How long does it take someone to really get it? Is this belief really true? Do I really need somebody? Or how small am I making myself by believing that someone else having the ticket to my success or not being successful? So how long does it take you to really click for you that, oh, this is a wrong belief? And how long does it take for you to get rid
Well,
of
I
it.
want to speak to that because I don't know that that occurs to me as a belief that needs to be shed. You know, what I mentioned earlier that we really need to have a why. And I think that what's interesting about what you said is, and it's good that you brought it up because I think that there's something to kind of unpack quickly there, which is there's a belief that does or does not serve us, but there's also a why.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm a man and I'm running a race and there is a beautiful, amazing woman at the end of the race who says, I'm going to go home with the winner, I'm going to run faster. If I'm a single man and I'm looking for a woman, I'm going to run faster. There's no belief system that that is right or wrong or falls within. If somebody said, I've got a bag of $1,000,000 at the end of this race, and whoever comes in first gets this bag of $1,000,000, everyone's going to run faster. Now, there's a difference between I believe there must be a bag of $1,000,000 in order for me to be able to run the race. No.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that what we might be able to distinguish here is that if you want, let's say you're not a runner. You're not a runner and you want to be a runner. Okay, so be a runner. Do what runners do. Get running, get clothes that are going to be comfortable for you. Sweatbands, get sweatbands. You know, if you need to run every single day at the same time, set a reminder. Get dressed. That's something I always tell my friends and my clients. Like if they say, well, I want to go to the gym, I say my biggest secret is getting dressed. If I don't feel like working out, I will just change into my workout clothes. And once I'm in my workout clothes, it's like a switch happens. It's like, well, now I'm being a person who works out. It's like I'm all dressed up to work out. So now I want to work out. So there are things that we can do to become the runner. We shouldn't have any belief that we can't be a runner unless there's something waiting for us at the goal, or there's some cheerleaders or some other sense of inspiration. And that is completely separate from the value that inspiration can give us, because that's our why. I'm running because there's $1,000,000 at the goal and I want a shot at it. I'm running because there's, I want to lose this much weight. I want to have that kind of body. I want to fit into those kinds of clothes. So those to me occur as two kind of things.
Yeah, I get it. But for me is, as I'm trying to teach people to become a superhuman, I am just saying, how about if we move those gifts at the end? It's all about your mental, right? So it depends on what level you're talking about. If the achievement to me is always depends to a trophy, then that's kind of messed up. That's another part that I would work on it, to realize that how can I achieve my goals without a trophy at the end, or without the present, because then you're stuck again in a way, because majority of time every day in your life there is no $1,000,000, there is no beautiful women, there is no beautiful guy. So that's another belief that we have to remove. It depends on what level are you looking at, right? So what I'm trying to say is, if everything created in the mind, everything that you think is a belief, it's a belief that you need. The minute a need comes, the minute you start realizing that you have a need, that need is a belief. How can you remove that need? Otherwise, you're always going to stay small. Otherwise, you're always going to be broken. You're always going to have an excuse that because of that, I am not there. Because of not support, I am not there. Because I'm in this, I am not achieving that. My type of coaching, I'm trying to teach my followers fundamentally starting from the root. And from the root, when you see there is some unwanted disease or unwanted belief or beliefs that are not empowering, just pull it right there. Otherwise, you're going to continue, and then you're going to look at your reality and you see nothing is really moving. Fundamentally, nothing is shaking, nothing is moving. You're stuck, you're living your day, you think you're doing things, life is going by, and you're busy and you're doing a lot of stuff. But when you look at your reality, nothing has really changed your reality.
So what I would say to that is, especially to the concept of motivation, we do need it. And the big idea is, well, where do we get it? Can we self-generate it? And one of the things that we don't do enough is this. Take your hand, reach behind your back, give yourself a pat on the back. And that might sound silly, but one of the things that we don't do is really congratulate ourselves for small wins. And this is important because take away the big prize at the end, which I still believe that we need to have that a target that we're shooting for as a big why, as a big motivation. And
target is different, Jeff, than having a trophy. Those are two different things.
And so
target we absolutely need, but having something to give us the motivation.
And so but here's the challenge is that not every time, not every moment are we going to experience a win. We're going to experience failures. We're going to experience setbacks. We're going to experience kind of states of limbo where it occurs that nothing's happening. And often, I know in my experience, that's like the worst. Like, at least if there's failure, you can kind of analyze the failure and get up and do something again. But if you're in that state of limbo where it occurs that like nothing's happening, it can almost drive you nuts because you're like, I don't know, I need to move forward or backwards, but this kind of being in the middle part's weird. I don't know what's going on. And it is important to know that we do fire dopamine as a chemical to motivate us to take action. And if we don't find a way, because this gets to the idea of motivation, if we don't find a way to congratulate ourselves, we're not going to fire the dopamine. Because to your point, if there isn't a big trophy to win at the end of a race, and we keep failing or we end up in the state of limbo, if we don't have motivation, if we don't have a why, we don't have some target we're shooting for, we're going to give up because it's not going to be comfortable. We're going to say, well, why are we running? Running's not comfortable. Why are we running? This makes no sense. And so your brain is going to stop you from running. But if you congratulate yourself, even if you just get dressed in the running clothes and you go, I put my running shoes on. I didn't do that yesterday. You know what? That's awesome. And then you walk outside of the place and you go for a 5-minute walk. I didn't run today, but I went for a 5-minute walk. You know what? I didn't do that yesterday. And then the next day you go for a 10-minute walk. Well, maybe on the third day or the fourth day, you do 5 minutes of running. You do a slow run for just a few minutes or 5 minutes. And you congratulate yourself, because when you congratulate yourself for taking that action, you begin to train your brain that your new way of being is good to you and good for you, and you're happy with it. So it's that positive reinforcement. You're positively reinforcing yourself. Good job, me. And that seems a little silly, but if you really do that, you're going to train yourself that you're happy with yourself being the new person.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but what I realize something else, that we don't really need. The reason people think they need motivation, that's another belief. Secondly, we don't need motivation. Where people are going wrong is lack of clarity. People don't know where they're going. They don't know what the end is, and they're not living that. I just talked about this in my Farsi live the other day. I said, for me, it's very clear. No, sorry, it was on my webinar. I said, for me, from day one was very clear that I want to have a huge impact on the world. I want to be a speaker. That's how I want to change people's mind. Being a speaker helps me to change people's mind. It's very clear for me where the end is. And I never lack motivation.
Yeah, but there's a why in
This is
there.
the
There
problem.
is a why. You might not have that why articulated.
Yeah, you can have a why, because the why, I know what the why is. The why is, for me, always, life has always been about other
Yeah, but
people
that's
and not
there.
me.
You can't divorce the
I,
why from the clarity. Because if I said, look, my door is over there, and I am crystal clear on where my
mhm,
door is, and I'm crystal clear on the
mhm.
actions I need to take to get up and open that door. I have to get up out of the chair, I have to walk across the room, and I'm going to turn the knob, and I'm going to pull the door, and the door's going to open. But why
I
am I
got
getting up out of my
that,
chair and
but I
walking to the
also
door and
gave you
opening
the
it?
why. I said I give you the why. The why is that why people, my motivation is to make people
Right.
happier and make their journey on
But they
planet
go hand
Earth
in hand.
easier. So
They
by
go hand in hand.
that's yeah, so that's my why. Right, that's my why. But let's stay focused here. If you're really clear about where you want to go, what is it? And how does that make you feel? And know the why. Do you still need motivation? Do you still need a daily pump up? Or that by itself, that clarity is already your
I
juice.
think I
You
believe you do,
don't, you're not.
because in my experience and in the experience of nearly everyone I've met that's on a journey to better their life, you're gonna face setbacks. What if what if your spouse dies, gets killed? What if there's some massive tragedy in your life and that robs you of all motivation, and you're like, I don't care anymore? Some massive tragedy. You could have a why, you could have clarity, but what if you get hospitalized and all of a sudden there's some massive medical expense, and you're like, well, I was on this path, I was clear, I had my why, and I was taking action every day, but I just got hospitalized. I've got a 6-figure bill. I have no idea how I'm going to pay it, and now I'm totally taken out of the game. And if we're not,
Well,
doesn't
you made
matter.
it too
That happens to
dramatic.
people.
No, no, no. Let me tell you what it is, where you're going wrong. Someone who is clear, crystal clear, also knows that knows that life is always going to throw something at you. That's the difference. People who always stay behind is because they have a lot of excuses. Because my mother died, because I got a divorce, because this and that happened. The person who is really clear about where they're going, and they're doing it and they're feeling it every day, isn't it? That is your mind that's creating your reality. So the person who is clear about where they're going, they don't have so many setbacks. Because after all, if you decide that you're going to get into this awesome relationship and you're not, it's because it's your mind, it's all the blocks that you have in your mind. Otherwise, there are plenty of people out there. The reason you're not getting it, because somehow in your deep, deep subconscious mind, being in a relationship is not safe, or there is some hidden agenda that your subconscious mind has. But the person who is clear about where they're going, obviously they have the way the neurons in their brain is wiring, they're not creating for themselves a lot of obstacles. And once they do, they get up and they move on faster. They don't allow those obstacles to pull them down and say, no, no, what do you see?
No.
You see what I'm
saying?
I
mean, I hear what you're saying. I know the point that you're making, but there's what I can see is that in the person, you know, there's a couple of different listeners that are out there. There are listeners that are action takers. There are listeners that are high achievers, that are action takers, and they've already built that muscle. They've already built the muscle where taking action is its own reward. I'm at that level. Do I take all the action that I need to? Of course not. There's plenty of things I want to do and maybe I'm not taking action on. And I built that muscle. I never used to come home from work and turn on the TV. I would come home from work and I would get to work on other projects. So I trained that muscle that doing things brought me joy. Accomplishing things brought me joy. Moving the needle brought me joy. That's a muscle that I trained. There's people that are just trying to get through the day. They come home, their money's not where they want, their health and fitness isn't where they want, their relationships aren't where they want. They come home, they plop down on the couch and they watch TV. It's going to be very easy to take that person out. It's going to be very easy for that person to, you know, give themselves a pep talk, talk with a coach, watch a seminar, get excited, set some goals, start taking action towards those goals, and then something in life comes along and just takes them out. And it might not be that much. It might be something that to a high achieving action taker occurs as something very low. But to that person, it occurs as the end of the world. And so it's important.
So for those that you're relating to, what is your solution?
What I said earlier, giving yourself on the pat on the back, you put on the running shoes, because that's who I was speaking to. I'm not speaking to the high achieving action taker when I say that.
So that will work. That's all they have to do, to tap themselves on the shoulder and say,
it's to celebrate your actions towards your goals. Because what did I say? When you're a high achieving action taker, you have literally built a muscle of self reinforcement. You're saying, when I take action, I get more joy out of working, in air quotes, working, because most people think work's a 4-letter word. You know, like, I get more joy out of working than I do out of sitting and watching TV. I don't have a TV. Like, I hate sitting and watching TV. It brings me almost no joy. Working on projects brings me massive joy. I wasn't born that way. That is a conditioned muscle through lots of continued positive reinforcement. So the way to get there is to celebrate your actions. If you are not the type of person that normally takes action, celebrate.
That's a step ahead. That's a step ahead. You were, according to what you were saying, Jeff, you said these people, they come home and nothing is working on their lives in each areas. Now they're tapping themselves on what? There's a before step.
Well, we got there. So one of the first things we discussed was to get crystal clear, brutally honest with who you are being and what you're doing. So what happens is that, let's say it becomes a habit to sit down and plop on the couch. People are at a level, some people are at a level where they're not even aware of that. They plop on the couch and that's where they start to think about what they want for their life. It's like, well, hold on a second. Are you even aware that you walked in the door? Or do you even have any level of self-awareness that you walked in the door and the first thing you did was plop down on the couch? You could have done a lot of other activities when you walked in the door. And so if somebody becomes super authentic and honest with themselves and writes down how they're behaving, who they're being, you could say, wait, now they talk with a coach and they show that to a coach. It's like, okay, here's what I want you to do. I'm going to give you a tip. When you come home, instead of walking in the door and plopping on the couch, the very first thing I want you to do is I want you to walk to your desk and I want you to open up your laptop or turn on your computer, and I want you to open up a Word document, and I want you to write for 10 minutes about your dreams. I just want you to journal about your dreams, or pull out a pad and a pencil, pen, whatever, and just journal. Sit at your desk. Don't do it on the couch. Sit at your desk and journal for 10 minutes. So if that person comes home, they walk in the door and it hits them, they go for the couch and they catch themselves going for the couch. Celebrate that. Give yourself a pat on the back that you caught yourself and you didn't plop down on the couch. You walk over to the desk, you sit down at the desk, and you work for 10 minutes. Celebrate that. Get up and give yourself a pat on the back and say, yes, go me. It sounds like a small win, but what you're doing is you're conditioning that muscle that's what you want to do. You want to be sitting at that desk for 10 minutes and not plopping down on the couch. Now, eventually, you won't need to do that.
So okay, we only have a few minutes left, Jeff. We went over time. So to wrap it up, let's go by number one. Step number one is for me to be clear. If I want my reality to change, the old personality has to die. I cannot create a different reality with the old personality. Step number one. Step number two, now that you really figured out who the old personality was, by now you have enough experience to know what part of this character, the attribute, has worked for you, you like it, you want to continue that trait, you keep it, and whatever you think it didn't work for you, you have to let it go. Or you can just, instead of even dealing with the old personality, just find out who you really want to be. You are creating this personality. Start from the top. How does this personality think? Like this personality, is this personality someone who has overcome their mind and ego? Is this personality using the mind as a tool to ask it to work for them towards their goal? Or is it the other way around? The mind is using you as a slave and taking you to the back, to the front, to the past, to the future. So start from the mind. Obviously, when I want to create my new personality, the first place that I go is the mind, because my mind is creating my reality, right? So how does this new personality think? Number two, how does this new personality feels? How does this new personality behave? Now you have to go through your body. You have to train the body. At the beginning, you might have to mimic this new personality. If this personality the old personality has been shy and is always hunched down and is depressed, now for at least 3 to 6 months, you have to work on your physical body. You have to hold yourself up. You have to look people in the eye. It's very hard, but every time that you want to go back to the old personality, oh, I'm shy, I can't talk in front of a crowd, you have to stop that and say, that was the old personality, right? And you also have to work a lot on the body. You have to tame the physical body the same way as you tame your ego. Back
I got
to you,
nothing.
Jeff.
I think that's a great summary.
Okay, so here, guys, tame the body. Remember, your body, because of your daily habits, has become its own brain or mind. Now, in order to change that, you have to start mingling and changing all your day. If you woke up every day like me and you went out and you just meditate, No, maybe you will have to change that to do something else. So this last week, since I worked with my team, I was on my team like every single day trying to correct everything. And yesterday I said, this is it, guy. I think you guys all know what to do. I'm pulling back. And from yesterday, I changed everything. Every morning after my coffee and my meditation and my bathroom routine, I would just come and check Instagram and start dealing with my employees. Now I stopped that. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not going to the social media anymore. I'm just going straight, shifting my energy, my thoughts into working out for a few minutes. And then I move into creating my new course. So every day you have to change your habits, do different things at different time, and stick to it, guys. Consistency is a huge tool for success. I have always been consistent. And even I was telling Jeff, I said, when I start, it took me a while to get on TikTok. Oh, I couldn't do it. It was a new platform. So finally I procrastinate, and I said, I have to stop that. And I started one day. Instead of one reel, I did 3 reels in a day. And then I start doing it, and I start doing it. And of course, if I compare it to my social media, which is like every day 100 people, 200 people, to me is nothing. But I have been consistent and start from 10 people, now I'm close to 195 people. It goes very slow, but I don't look at the result. I'm just being consistent on it every single day. And know if you're consistent, you will always achieve your goal. Anything else
No,
before we
I
wrap
think
up,
it's
Jeff?
great. It's a lot of good stuff.
So tell me about, do you want to tell my followers your Instagram, anything that you want to add, anything that they should
Yeah,
find out about
I
you
mean,
or
I
look
do a
up?
lot of work in self-awareness, and there's a great synergy between clarity and self-awareness, you know, because again, they're really the two pieces we're talking about. It's who are you being and where exactly do you want to go? So they really work hand in hand. And the account that I'm connecting with is my coaching account. So it's Jeff Musial Coaching with a little underscore, you know, in between. And that's what I do. You know, if you are interested in clarity on your goals and your future, Sudi's perfect for that. And if you needed any additional work on you know, self-awareness and just who you're being and tools to get there, then you can always DM me and we can connect.
Great and awesome. Okay, guys, don't forget, follow Jeff, and also don't forget to follow me if you haven't, and turn on your notifications. So anytime I do a live or I do a reel, you will be notified right away. See you all next week. Don't forget, sometimes you have to watch my live a few times and grab a paper and a note, write it down, because we forget. And like Jeff said, when you come home, this was a great point that Jeff told you guys. If you realize that the old personality is a TV lover, and as soon as you come home, you just turn on the TV, do this. Tell yourself, I'm not going to watch TV for 10 minutes. Like he said, sit down and write down your goals and vision it again and see how you feel. This is great point, because remember, after all, everything is imagination. The more you imagine the end goal, the faster you will reach it. And don't listen to Jeff, because if you really know what you want, you don't need motivation. Just that clarity about what it is, that itself is the juice and the motivation. There you go, Jeff. Okay.
Sweet.
Bye-bye,
You too.
everybody. Love you, Jeff. Take care. See you all next week. Bye-bye. Love and light.